The year is 1587. The location? The island of Roanoke, off the coast of North Carolina. A group of over 100 British settlers, many of them women and children, vanished without a trace. The mystery surrounding their disappearance has endured for centuries. There are no known bodies, no graves, no clues to what happened except for one word carved into a tree on the island. Did they all run away? Abandon ship and leave the island? Or were they all murdered in some terrible tragedy? Welcome to the first episode of our series, The Lost Colony of Roanoke. It's me. Governor John White and his daughter Eleanor arrived with supplies and reinforcements, but he soon left again to get more supplies from England. On an exposed post near the entrance to the village, someone had carved the word This single clue has inspired countless theories as to what may have happened to the settlers. The second is that the leader of the CROATOAN tribe refused to cooperate with the English when they arrived, which suggests that the tribe was hiding something. Epidemics were common in the 16th century and could wipe out entire settlements. In the early 1600s, the European disease known as the sweating sickness killed an estimated 30% of the population of England, and it's possible that a similar disease could have struck the Roanoke settlers. There is some evidence to support this theory, such as the fact that the colonists may have been weakened by malnutrition. He described it as being about the size of a ship and having a single large eye. In 1616, the English explorer Sir Samuel Purchas reported seeing a sea monster off the coast of Florida that was 40 feet long and had the head of a lion. In 1642, the Dutch navigator Peter Nortson encountered a sea monster off the coast of South Africa that was 100 feet long and had the head of a lion. These are just a few of the many reports of encounters with sea monsters throughout history. While most of these stories can be dismissed as a product of an overactive imagination, there are a few that are particularly disturbing. Join us next week as we continue to explore this fascinating mystery and uncover the latest theories and evidence. See you then. However, it does not explain why the bodies of the colonists were never found. The creature reportedly attacked their ship and sank it, killing several of the crew. In 2005, a group of fishermen in Australia reported seeing a sea monster that was over 100 feet long and had the head of a lion. In 2008, a group of tourists in Hawaii reported seeing a sea monster that was 40 feet long and had the head of a lion. It's when you wake up in the middle of the night and need to use the bathroom. Then you realize you're staying in a haunted house. These are just a few of the many alleged sea monster sightings that have occurred in recent years. In 1840, a whaling ship called the Essex was attacked by a sperm whale that sank the ship and left the crew stranded in the water for weeks. One of the survivors, Thomas Nickerson, reported seeing a sea monster that was over 100 feet long and had the head of a lion. Finally, the English explorer John Smith claimed that he met some of the colonists from Roanoke when he explored the Chesapeake Bay region in 1607, 11 years after they had disappeared from Roanoke. Hostility between the colonists and the local tribes was high, and it is possible that tensions boiled over, and the natives attacked the settlement. This legend dates back to 1590 when the English explorer George Embercourt claimed to have seen the body of a man being dragged into the sea by a giant creature with the head of a lion. Other explorers reported seeing similar creatures in the area, and it's possible that one of these creatures could have attacked the Roanoke settlers. There is evidence to support this theory as well. These stories are often dismissed as the product of an overactive imagination or a desire to sensationalize the unknown. However, there are a few documented cases of encounters with large marine creatures that could lend credence to the theory that such creatures exist. For example, the English explorer Francis Drake reported that when he visited the island in 1586, he found signs that the natives had recently attacked the settlement. However, there is no evidence that any of the colonists were ever enslaved by the natives. If the natives had captured the colonists in a raid, it's likely that at least some of them would have been held as slaves. He said the colonists told him that they had been attacked by a large force of natives and those that survived fled inland. Smith also claimed that he saw the bones of some of the missing colonists along the shores of a lake in what is now Virginia, though he didn't say which tribe he believed was responsible for their deaths. When he returned 3 years later in 1590, he found the settlement deserted. When supplies failed to arrive from England, the colonists may have decided to join the friendly CROATOAN tribe rather than die of starvation. Evidence supporting this theory includes the fact that the word CROATOAN was carved in large letters, suggesting a message intended to be seen. Had the settlers abandoned the colony due to dwindling supplies or fear of attack, they likely would have carved the word in much smaller letters, hoping to avoid detection by hostile natives. All the buildings were abandoned and the colonists had vanished. Each week on this channel, I bring you new episodes on the most amazing archaeological discoveries, lost civilizations, and historical mysteries from around the world. 3 years later, the English Queen Elizabeth I granted a charter to Sir Walter Raleigh to establish a colony on the island. But in July of 1587, a third attempt was successful. A fleet of 5 ships arrived carrying over 120 men, women and children who would become the first English inhabitants of North America. They settled in an area known as the CROATOAN near present-day Hatteras, North Carolina. Raleigh chose the site for its natural harbor, abundant wildlife and friendly native population. Tensions rose between the colonists and the local CROATOAN tribe, leading to violent clashes, and the settlers were ill-equipped to defend themselves against attacks by other tribes, including the powerful tribe known as the Powhatan Confederacy. Plus, it was a strategic location that could be used as a base to attack Spanish ships traveling between the West Indies and Spain. And today we begin a 2-part special episode on the strange case of the Lost Colony of Roanoke, America's first vanishing. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, so you won't miss next week's conclusion. In 1584, a group of English explorers landed on an island off the coast of North Carolina, which they named Roanoke in honor of the local Native American tribe. Raleigh's first attempt at colonization failed. When storms destroyed the ships carrying supplies and settlers to the island, conditions in the colony were far from ideal. Supplies were scarce, and the settlers struggled to build adequate shelter. By the time the supply ships arrived the following year, only a handful of colonists remained. Relief. Governor White searched the area for any sign of what may have happened to the settlers, finding only a single clue to the mystery of the missing colony. One theory is that the settlers simply picked up and moved, possibly to the nearby CROATOAN Island. However, there are problems with this theory. One is that no one knows what happened to the colonists after they supposedly joined the CROATOAN tribe. Another theory is that the colonists were victims of disease. Another theory is that the colonists were killed and eaten by the natives. Perhaps the most exciting theory is that the colonists were killed and partially consumed by a mysterious creature known as a man-eater. Stories of terrifying beasts that live in the ocean have been around for centuries. In 1534, the French explorer Jacques Cartier encountered a massive creature while sailing along the St. Lawrence River. In 1817, a group of sailors reported seeing a sea monster off the coast of New Zealand that was over 100 feet long and had the head of a lion. There have also been a number of alleged sea monster sightings in recent years. What do you think? Do you believe that a sea monster could have attacked and partially eaten the Roanoke colonists? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But if you ask me, there's something even scarier than a man-eating sea monster. That's it for part 1 of our 2-part series on the Lost Colony of Roanoke.